Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So in this video, we are going to talk about how to update vector indexes in UiPath context grounding. In the previous video where we talked about RAG and context grounding, we talked about what RAG is and we talked about what context grounding is. Then we showed a demo looking at how to create an index in context grounding and how we can consume it in the UiPath Studio flow. In what was not covered in that video was actually the part where we update the data in the vector database time to time. So if we quickly look at the RAG architecture one more time. So in RAG, we have like two main sections. One is the data loading part, and then comes the consuming part. So in the previous video, we kind of covered how to load the data into a vector storage through a storage bucket and in context grounding to create an index. Then in the studio flow, we covered how to consume it using content generation activities. But let's say this information is changing time to time. So your data can be in a storage bucket, your data can be in OneDrive, Google Drive, anywhere. But this information can change. The documents can change. You can delete documents, you can add new documents. Even in the existing documents, the content can change. Or else, if it's a database, the data can get updated or new records can be added. So all these changes has to come into the vector database at some point so that your AI application can easily access the latest data and it can provide the latest data to the users who are consuming it. So this can be done in two ways in UiPath context grounding. Let's have a look. In the UiPath context grounding under AI trust layer, we can see the index that we created. So one of the approach to update the index is actually updating it manually from this screen. How to do that is actually you can look at the index, click on these three dots, and here you have an option called Sync Now. So this is one way of updating it. So you can just click on it and it will take a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes depending on how big your data set is, and it will update your index. Second option is to actually do that through an automated process, which you can easily develop through the UiPath Studio. So before going into the studio, let's actually add a new file to our storage bucket so we can actually see it. So this is our storage bucket, and the previous video we added only two documents and I specifically kept one aside so that I can show it in this video. So this is my folder and I have already uploaded these two documents and I want to upload this now. So I'm going to click on upload new file, and these things can actually be done through automated process. You don't need to manually do it. So I'm going to add this file. And then now the file is added to the storage bucket. And the moment you come here and click on this sync now, it will add that new information to the index. Now let's see how we can do the same thing in the studio. This is very easy. In the studio flow, if you are using the UiPath.integration service activities, in that you will have access to content generation activities or the GenAI activities, which you can find here. It's the same activity pack that we used last time when we were querying the index. It's the same activity package, but last time we used the content generation to consume the data. Since now we are going to update the index, we need to use a different activity, which is called update context grounding index. This is the activity. So I have already added it here. Let me add it again so that you can see how it looks like when you initially add it. And I will configure it again. So it takes your GenAI activity connection, and you can say in which folder you have your index, then what is your index. And that's it. So with that, you have configured your simple automation flow to update your index. You may have a question, how soon I should update my index? Like, what is the frequency? Should I update it like every minute, every hour, or weekly? It actually depends on your use case. There can be scenarios where you need to always have up-to-date information or like near real-time information for your AI solution. In that case, you may need to run this in a short interval, like every hour or so. So that depends on your use case. But you may have another question. Can I include this activity in my same workflow where I consume the data? In simple terms, this is our previous workflow we created to generate a response. What if I add that activity here? As I explained before, there can be scenarios where this data syncing process may take a long time, depending on how big your data set is. For my use case here, I'm just using 3 files, so it can just sync in few seconds. But you may have an index that has thousands of data that are coming from different applications, and maybe that are coming from different documents, which are huge. And let's say every time you have like 100, 200, or 300, even more changes that you need to sync. These things can actually take time. So the best idea is to have that syncing process to run it in basically run it in a scheduled way, but separately from your workflow that you use it for consumption. So you can have a background process and schedule it to run maybe every hour or every day in the night, depending on how you need it, so that it can run in the background, it can do the syncing, and your consumption flow is not affected. So the moment you have the index synced, you have the latest data. So those are little things that we need to consider when designing these solutions and deciding how frequently you're going to update your indexes. So basically, there is nothing happens here. If you just run it, it will take a couple of seconds to execute this activity, and then you're done. So you can have different logs and everything to keep track of what's happening in the background in your syncing process, but it's a very easy flow. Just make sure it is implemented in a separate workflow so that your querying is not affected by the delays or the time it takes to sync. So that's a very short video, and I hope this explains how to sync your index with the latest information so that you can consume it, and what are the best practices in updating your indexes. So we are coming to the end of this video. If you have any questions or concerns, please drop it in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in another video.